When the bell rang that night, it wasn't just another middleweight contest. It was a collision between raw ambition and unstoppable power. The arena trembled with anticipation, the crowd roaring as if they already sensed what was about to unfold. One man entered the ring undefeated and hopeful. The other walked in as a feared destroyer, a champion whose fists had rewritten destinies. This wasn't just a fight. This was a statement waiting to be made. "Let's get ready to rumble," echoed through the arena, and with that electrifying call, the atmosphere shifted from excitement to pure tension. Instructions were clear: protect yourself at all times, fight hard, fight clean. But everyone watching knew that when a fighter like Gennady Golovkin steps between the ropes, protection becomes a matter of survival. Dominic Wade, tall, composed, and unbeaten, stood across from a man whose reputation alone could shake confidence. On paper they were nearly identical in height. In reality, the difference in presence was unmistakable. Golovkin radiated quiet menace, the calm of a storm that knows it doesn't need to rush. From the opening seconds, it was evident that Golovkin had no intention of wasting time. He advanced methodically, his signature jab snapping like a piston. Wade attempted to box smartly, trying to create angles, trying to establish rhythm. But against a pressure fighter like Triple G, rhythm can quickly turn into retreat. Golovkin's understanding of distance was surgical. He didn't chase wildly, he stalked. Each step forward was calculated, each jab a message: you will not escape. Wade had spoken before the fight about strategy, about boxing intelligently, about not underestimating the champion. But strategy meets reality when leather crashes into bone. Golovkin's jab alone was heavy enough to disrupt balance. When he went to the body, the sound echoed like a drumbeat of inevitability. Body shots are investments, and Triple G invests with brutal interest rates. Wade tried to respond, throwing combinations, but there was a visible difference in power. Golovkin absorbed the shots with little more than a blink. That's when a dangerous realization settled in: Wade could not keep him off. Midway through the first round, the first seismic moment arrived. A sharp left hand detonated on Wade's head, followed by relentless pressure. Wade attempted to hold, to buy seconds, to recover equilibrium. But Golovkin's overhand right sliced through the guard, landing with thudding authority. Down went Wade. The crowd erupted, not in shock but in confirmation. This was what they expected. This was what Golovkin does. To his credit, Wade rose. Fighters don't reach the elite level without courage, and he showed heart. He survived the round, retreating to his corner with determination still flickering in his eyes. Yet Golovkin returned to his stool calm, almost analytical. He had gathered the data he needed. He knew now that it was only a matter of time. Round 2 began, and Golovkin intensified the pressure. There's something terrifying about a fighter who grows more confident the more he's hit. Wade landed a few clean punches, but they bounced off Golovkin like pebbles against steel. Sensing the lack of threat, Triple G shifted gears. His punches became more varied: hooks, uppercuts, crushing shots to the ribs. Another right hand crashed through. Wade staggered, legs betraying him. Down he went again. The referee administered the count, and once more Wade stood. But the look had changed. The fire of ambition was now mixed with survival instinct. Golovkin closed the distance with predator patience. A thunderous left hook snapped Wade's head sideways. Moments later, a counter right hand landed flush on the chin. That was the exclamation point. Wade collapsed for the third time. The referee waved it off. It was over. Less than 2 rounds. Clinical. Devastating. Unforgettable. The replay told the story in slow motion. The precision of the left hand, the timing of the counter, the sheer inevitability of the outcome. Golovkin didn't just knock opponents out. He dismantled them. His connect percentage told the statistical side of the narrative, landing over 40% of his shots, nearly half of his power punches finding their mark. But numbers don't capture the aura. They don't capture the psychological weight an opponent carries before even stepping through the ropes. What makes Golovkin so dangerous isn't just power. It's composure. Once he senses you cannot hurt him, he advances with ruthless efficiency. There's no wasted movement, no desperation. Just pressure, constant, suffocating, intelligent pressure. He builds knockouts round by round, second by second. Critics might say Wade lacked the power to test him. Analysts may debate matchmaking in future opponents. But what remains undeniable is this: Golovkin performs exactly as a dominant champion should. He doesn't merely win, he asserts superiority. And in a sport where uncertainty reigns supreme, that kind of consistency becomes legendary. As the arena lights reflected off his gloves and the crowd roared his name, Golovkin stood not just as a victor of another bout, but as a symbol of relentless excellence. Questions about future megafights buzzed in the air. Bigger names. Bigger stakes. But on this night, the message was simple. Anyone stepping into that ring must bring more than courage. They must bring something extraordinary. Because against Triple G, ordinary is not enough. If you felt that intensity, if you heard those punches through your screen, then you already know boxing like this deserves to be celebrated. Boxing glove fire. Make sure you like this video if you respect true knockout power. Subscribe for more legendary fight breakdowns and epic boxing stories. Share this with every fight fan who loves pure action. And drop a comment below, who should face the unstoppable force next? The war never ends. The legends keep rising. And the next bell is always waiting. The roar inside the arena did not fade after the stoppage. It grew louder, deeper, more reverent, because everyone in attendance understood they had just witnessed another chapter in the destruction manual authored by Gennady Triple G Golovkin, a fighter whose presence in the middleweight division felt less like participation and more like occupation, as if he had claimed the territory with his jab and dared the rest of the world to try and take it back. And Dominic weighed, brave and unbeaten. When he stepped through the ropes, found himself confronting not just a champion but a force of nature that advances without panic, without doubt, and without mercy. From the very first seconds it was clear that Golovkin's approach was rooted in suffocating pressure, that educated front foot stalking style that made him so feared, a style built on subtle foot positioning, a piston-like jab, and an uncanny ability to cut off the ring so that escape routes vanished before an opponent even realized they were cornered, and Wade attempted to establish range, to circle, to flick out his own jab and keep the fight tactical. But every step backward he took was another inch surrendered to inevitability, because Golovkin doesn't waste movement chasing shadows. He takes space with authority, closes angles with quiet intelligence, and when he commits to the body, the sound of glove meeting ribs echoes like a warning bell signaling that the end is approaching. There is something psychologically draining about facing a fighter who does not react to your best punches, and Wade experienced that early, landing shots that might have discouraged lesser men yet barely causing Golovkin to blink, and once that realization settles in, that your power cannot command respect, the fight becomes exponentially more dangerous, because Golovkin reads that hesitation like a seasoned predator reading body language, increasing output, doubling the jab, mixing in hooks and short right hands that travel compact paths yet deliver concussive force. And when the first knockdown came it felt less like surprise and more like confirmation of a pattern long established in his career. A crisp left hand destabilizing Wade before the follow-up pressure sealed the moment, sending him to the canvas as the crowd erupted not in disbelief but in recognition of the champion's familiar rhythm. And though Wade rose with commendable courage, returning to his feet determined to prove resilience, the shift in momentum was irreversible because Golovkin had now calibrated distance and timing to perfection. And what followed in the second round was a demonstration of controlled aggression rarely matched in modern boxing, with Golovkin subtly inviting return fire just to measure reactions, absorbing glancing blows in order to deliver punishing counters, digging hooks to the body that bent Wade's posture and forced his guard to lower, then firing upstairs with that compact right hand that snaps the head back and steals equilibrium, and the second knockdown carried the unmistakable tone of finality, the legs stiffening, the recovery slower, the eyes revealing that survival mode had replaced strategy. Yet even then Golovkin did not rush recklessly. He continued to apply calculated pressure, knowing that exhaustion and doubt are allies when you punch as hard as he does, and when the finishing sequence unfolded it was executed with chilling precision, a counter right hand landing flush, balance evaporating, Wade collapsing for the third time as the referee stepped in to prevent further damage. And in those moments the narrative expanded beyond a single fight because Golovkin's dominance speaks to a broader truth about championship mentality, that greatness in boxing is not solely about athletic gifts but about composure under fire, about understanding that once you have established your opponent's limitations you must capitalize decisively, and critics may analyze punch statistics, connect percentages hovering around the mid-40s, power shots landing with ruthless efficiency, output exceeding that of his challenger. But numbers cannot fully capture the aura he brings into the ring, the quiet confidence that radiates from a fighter who has trained relentlessly, performing thousands of repetitions daily to fortify body and mind, constructing an iron core that shrugs off body shots and a chin that has rarely betrayed him. And what separates Golovkin from many punchers is the intelligence underpinning the violence, the way he disguises intention behind a probing jab, the way he steps subtly to the left to line up the right hand, the way he feints just enough to freeze an opponent before committing to the shot that changes everything, and as discussions inevitably turned toward future opponents, names whispered with anticipation, debates over who possesses the style, the speed, or the durability to challenge him, the memory of this fight reinforces a consistent theme. Anyone stepping into that ring must be prepared not only for physical punishment but for relentless psychological pressure, because facing Golovkin means confronting a man who believes deeply in his preparation, who advances without hesitation because he trusts his conditioning, his technique, and his power absolutely, and in an era where matchmaking politics often cloud legacies, performances like this cut through the noise with brutal clarity, reminding fans why they fell in love with the sport in the first place. The raw immediacy of two fighters under bright lights, one imposing his will through skill and force, the other testing his limits in pursuit of greatness. And while Wade deserves respect for taking the challenge, for stepping into the storm rather than avoiding it, the outcome underscored the gap that can exist between contender and destroyer, a gap defined by subtle timing, heavier hands, and unwavering belief. And as Golovkin stood victorious once more, gloves raised amid thunderous applause, it felt less like the end of a bout and more like another checkpoint on a path carved by discipline and dominance. A reminder that in boxing, legends are forged not just through titles but through the manner in which they defend them, through the consistency of excellence that leaves audiences both awed and hungry for more, because every knockout carries a story, every exchange reveals character. And in this chapter the message was unmistakable: pressure breaks resistance, power backed by precision is unstoppable. And when preparation meets opportunity under the glare of expectation,